Welcome to another episode of Delay But Not Denied podcast. Tonight, we're gonna be talking about what it looks like moving on after a marriage is done. When you've tried all that you can try and nothing seems to work. What do you do next? Where do you go? So I wanted to read this quote on letting go. And it just says, letting go means to come to the realization that some people are a part of your history, but not a part of your destiny. And with that being said, I want to bring up my people, my friends, my sisters, Travita and Dee Dee.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are y'all?
Good. How about
Good.
yourself?
Girl, I'm over here fighting.
What you fighting for?
My hair got me fighting for my life.
Well, bless your heart. Listen, I don't envy that fight at all because I have to give
Me neither.
myself a motivational speech every time it's time to do my hair. So,
But can I tell you, my daughter-in-law gave me all the tools to do it myself.
mm,
I
Mm.
started, and as you
mm.
can see, these are nice and fresh. That's about it. That's all we got.
Uh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, you started.
I
That
started,
that that's that you
and you
started.
and that's saying something because you know how I am with starting.
Yeah, I know. So you started. That's a start. Then we gon' go with that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, but y'all, all three of us have sat in this boat of moving on. And Travita, with you being the at the forefront, being able to say that you know you're on the other side of it now.
Yeah.
Uh, what did moving on and starting over look like for you?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I will say it was very tough in the beginning simply because I had spent 13 and a half years with this person.
Mm,
Three kids later, and we were 16 and 17 when we met. I was 27 when we separated, you know.
right.
And so he was all I knew. He was, my person. And to actually think about doing life without that person was definitely life changing.
Hmm.
And I didn't know what I was going to do, but I prayed and asked God to make sure that I was doing what was right and what was necessary, and to help me make sure that I stayed the course, and
Right.
it didn't look so pretty at times.
Mm.
There were days that I sat and I looked in that mirror and I'm like, Lord, what am I supposed to be doing? Because that's all I knew. That was my safety. And I got these three small kids and I can't fold. I can't afford to go down.
Mhm.
So
Right.
what am I supposed to do? And then I internalized, a lot, because it's like, what did I do for my marriage to end? Was I not attentive enough? Was I not supportive enough? But I also recognized the distance that had become between us, and people think I'm crazy when I say this, and that is around, I say, year 5 of being married, not being together, but year 5 of being married, I went to him and I said, listen, I can see that you're growing distant in this relationship. And if you need to step away to get yourself together, you're free to go and do that. But if you choose to stay, then I need you to plug in to this relationship, to this family. I need you to lead. I need you to be the husband, and I need you to be the father. This is not like a hall pass, as you guys say, or people say nowadays. It wasn't that. It was a time for him to go and just get himself together, because being a husband and being, a wife, if you don't have those hard conversations, you tend to grow apart. You know, you tend to grow
Mhm.
resentment towards each other. And I didn't want that. I was trying to give him the space to grow into who I needed him to be, you know,
Mhm.
and also recognizing that he wasn't his best self. And
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't it wasn't anything outside of that because I cared for him deeply. My life revolved around my husband and my children, and I lost myself. And so it was like, okay, but I lost me, but I'm still recognizing that you have lost yourself as well. And I'm giving you the opportunity to go and find who that is so that you can actually plug back in to where we were and continue to grow and build. And that was a hard thing. It was a hard conversation for me to have, but I don't think he even took me serious. And that may have been
Mhm.
the reason why he didn't take it, but I don't know. But that was an opportunity and a conversation that we did have. And when I tell people that, they was like, so you was just going to walk away? No, it wasn't me walking away. It was me
Mhm.
understanding that my husband was not available to be my husband. He was
Mhm.
with his own issues. And
Mhm.
I'm being the wife that I knew to be, to say,
Mhm.
hey, listen, you're not here right now. And I don't know what it is. And I don't know how to help you. But if you need to go out and find yourself and explore life, because we were young when we got together. We
Mhm.
had our daughter
Mhm.
when we were 17 and 18 years old. And
Mhm.
we got married at the age of 21. So
Mhm.
that's a lot of life and a lot of things that he probably felt that he was missing out on. Like he started
Mhm.
wanting to go to the clubs and things of that nature. Sir, you can go by yourself. That is not my forte. I don't like that.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna be sitting
Right.
right next to you hollering at you just to have a conversation. Sir, by you free to go. I'll
Exactly.
be back. I'll be watching whatever Matlock. Well, then it wasn't really the news, and I'm watching the news or you know
Yeah.
whatever show was on Channel 7 at that time. Because still the very same. I'm not trying to be in nobody's club. You ain't trying to,
Mhm.
baby. That ain't my forte. Ain't never been my forte. So when people be like, "I remember you from the club," baby, you remember somebody else because you ain't never seen me there. Because that ain't my place. If I want to drink something, baby, I'm at the house because I'm gonna go to sleep. That is me.
The
But
closest that you've ever
that is you. You know that's the truth.
I was getting ready to say the closest you ever been to actually stepping out is the party that I had at the hotel.
Yeah. And that's about it. Baby, you ain't gonna find me in them places in them spaces because that ain't my assignment. I ain't no club person. I don't like my music too loud. I ain't never You doing too much. Go sit down somewhere. You don't no, we're not doing that.
I like to be able to control my music. I want to switch it when I want to switch it.
Yeah, I want to go between my gospel. I ain't gonna go to no rap or nothing, but I'm gonna go to
Yeah.
my R&B, my old school R&B.
Exactly.
Because this new stuff, I don't know what they talking about. I have no clue what they
Exactly.
talking about, and I'm not trying to figure it out. Because I'm the type of person, if a new song come out, I got to analyze it. I got to do all of that, and
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
kids say I'm missing the whole aspect of
No,
just
you're not.
listening for the no, baby. I got questions. I got
Yeah.
questions because this don't make no sense to me. So I need to understand. And I don't think they be understanding the words that they be using in these songs because they don't know the definition of 'em. I know we don't
Exactly.
change a lot of these definitions to certain things, but baby, no, I
Yeah.
can't.
Well,
So
I will say,
mm-mm.
as far as music today, Chris Brown's Residuals has me in a chokehold because
Yes, yes. And that song resonates on so many different levels because you spend so much time with somebody, you invest everything. And then when you're
Mhm.
no longer with that person and you find your new person, it's
mhm,
like what's left over. So all that you invested over here is now being appreciated by someone else.
right.
It's like, okay, well, I tried. Yeah, didn't work out. But there's a difference in I look at relationships now of investments and liabilities.
Mm,
What is the liability it's gonna cost me to invest in you?
Mm.
Because I
Mm.
don't want to
That part.
lose me again.
That part, because that's
You
definitely what
know,
will happen. That's
yeah,
definitely what will
I
happen.
don't want to lose me again. So if it's going to
Yeah,
cost me more to invest in you, then you become a liability to me. And I don't need
yeah,
you being a liability. I need you to be an asset.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
So, you know,
So on that
but,
topic of losing yourself while
mhm.
you were married, how long did it take for you to realize, okay, wait a minute, I don't remember who I am, and how what was the process of trying to get back to figuring out who you truly really were?
Y'all hear me talk about this all the time is the self inventory list.
Mm-hmm.
That is
Mhm.
what I did. And I got out of the shower, big mirror in front of me, bare birthday suit and all. And I'm like, now I see me,
Mhm.
and I don't know who that person was, but I see me now. And I got to do some homework. And
Mhm.
I had to do the hard work of learning what my good qualities were, what my bad qualities were, what
Mhm.
I still needed to grow in, what areas I needed to grow in, and what
Mhm.
areas I needed to say, okay, that's good right there. And I'm still learning me
Mhm.
now. And it's crazy because I was just thinking before we got on here while I was taking my shower, and I'm like, I've grown so much over the years that I've grown into the person who no longer cares about what people really think about me, in the
Mhm.
sense of I'm not pleasing to you anymore. I'm pleasing
Mhm.
what is pleasing to me. If I don't want to do something, baby, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you I don't want to do it. And I
Right.
don't care that you mad that I don't want to do it.
Mhm.
Usually it would be like, oh, well, I'm gonna, try to accommodate in the best way that I
Mhm.
can. Now, I, baby, I can't. I'm not. So you can be mad, and if you
Yeah.
don't like me, that's a you problem, not a me problem.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about those things anymore. I used to, but
Mhm.
now it's like, all right, and I don't know if that has to do with me turning 46. I don't know. But at this point, baby, I don't
It
care.
might be.
I ain't got no time. I'm
Yeah.
not.
46
Yeah.
hit.
Cause
Yeah,
I'm
it's
47 going on 48, and I'm almost in that mode. Like I really don't care. I'm,
yeah, like I'm not in that space no more, baby. Either you like me or you don't, and if you don't,
yeah.
it's okay. And this is
Most
what I'm gonna tell
definitely.
y'all. This is how I know God works, and this is gonna be it's kind of on the subject, but kind of off the subject, because all relationships we have, and we come across people who want to self sabotage or
Mm-hmm.
sabotage things that we're going through.
Mhm.
And so you remember when I was in school, this is how God works, and he humbles you in situations, and I work on being humble. And I did not realize how humble he was going to make me in
Oh,
this.
Father.
And it's crazy because the situation that I'm in right now, it's God all by himself. But I was in school, and I had my program director, and it was a class that I was taking, and my dictation class, it went completely online, and you didn't have a book anymore. So the book was supposed to be available for the class is 11 weeks anyway. The book did not download until week 6. Midterms are due and everything, and my program director calls me in the office, and she's like, your grade in that class is a 22. Now, mind you, my program director had the book that I needed for the class. She would not give it to me. So she said, I just don't see you pulling up that grade in that class to be able to move on to your next two terms. I said, okay. And so she was like, yeah, it's a 22. I just don't see you bringing that up in time. You got midterms. And I told her, standing in that office, I said, you obviously have no idea the things that I've faced in this life. God has the final say. And I walked out.
Hello.
The crazy thing about that is in 2 weeks, I pulled that grade up from a 22 to an 85.
Look at
Mm.
God.
Ended up
Look at God.
passing that class with the B. Now, bring it forth. She tried so many different things to just hinder me and make it difficult for me.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what now? She's now a co-worker of mine, and guess who's training her?
You.
Look at God.
And so it's like,
What?
it's like, okay, God, I see what it
Wow.
was a battle that I was fighting, but I did not understand
Yeah.
that, like I told her, I said, just God has put me in positions to actually overextend, and whatever
Mm-hmm.
he has for me, he has for me. But it, it,
Mm-hmm.
it came full circle when my my manager was like, well, we got a new candidate that's starting, and she's got a great, awesome resume. And I was like,
I
okay. So she
love
brought
it.
me the
I love it.
resume, and I looked, I said, this name sounds familiar, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And then I'm reading the resume, and I said, you have got to be kidding me. God, why would you do this? But then it became clear. She wanted me to fail. She
Mm-hmm.
wanted me not to succeed. Now, whatever her issue was with me, I still to this day don't know. But
Right.
we
Mm-hmm.
were in a situation yesterday, and this is how unbothered I am with it. Like I'm training her, absolutely no problems. Because when she came in and she was like introducing herself, and I was like, I know who you are. She was like, you do? And she was like, yeah. I said, yeah, I absolutely know who you are. And so she was like, well, how do you know me? I said, from Virginia College. She said, oh, that was a long time ago. I said, yeah, it was. And I kept on doing what I was doing, needless to say. And the lights were kind of dim in the office because I hadn't quite opened up for the day. And so lights came on. She came back up. She said, oh, yeah, I do recognize you. I remember your face. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going on about my business. I'm not really entertaining it because it is what it is. So
Mm-hmm.
I spent most of the day yesterday training her and everything. Good. Then I was talking to one of the other coworkers about um, where Ellenberg's was in between somewhere in North Carolina, and
Mm-hmm.
so
Ellen
she
Durham.
was in the conversation, and so she was like, the girl asked me, she was like, well, do you know where that is? And I said, yeah, and I'm thinking about pinpointing what city is close to it or whatever. And so she was like, so you just didn't know where it was. I kept on with the conversation. So she turns and says, you didn't catch that shade. I said, no, I caught it. I just chose to ignore it and kept right on with the conversation because it's
Mm-hmm.
like you want me to be bothered
Mm-hmm. You bait.
by the shade that you're throwing at me, baby. I'm so
Mm-hmm.
unbothered. I don't care. That's why I kept on talking. I heard you. I heard exactly what you said, but I do not care because
Mm-hmm.
it was irrelevant. At the end of the day, you need me right now. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. So you're starting to remember why. Whatever your issue was with me, you probably still have that same issue. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care. I do not.
Mm-hmm.
But God will put you in situations that you were fighting a battle that you didn't even realize you were fighting, but God has already won the war for you.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my completion of that. And
Yeah.
it's just like, God, I see what you're doing now. It all makes sense. And so learning to be humble in those types of situations, you don't really know what God is doing.
Right.
And it looked hard for me. It really looked hard. And I didn't
Mm.
know anything about it. And I completely forgot about this woman. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
completely forgot about it, but it's like, God, you brought this back to me for whatever reason. You brought this back
Mm-hmm.
to actually show that whatever she was trying to do in that moment, she could
It
not
didn't
win.
work.
And it was basically what I had told her in that office, that you don't know the God that I serve.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
he brought that back. He said, okay, I show you why. Who you are is
Wow.
who you are and who I've created you to be. So life in this aspect of relationships, because all relationships are acts of service,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't look at them like that most of the time. What you
Mm-hmm.
give and what you receive has to be coexistent, and in relationships we don't
Mm-hmm.
always want to have those hard and difficult conversations because we don't want to offend anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But uncommunicated expectations ruin a lot of relationships because we don't talk to them about what our expectations are. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
not talking to them about what you expect, what your triggers are, what your past look like, people always say, well, I don't really know what, I don't want to talk about my past.
Mm-hmm.
My past is my past, but your
Mm-hmm.
past affects your future sometimes.
Mm,
Yeah.
You bleed on people who never cut you, you
Yep.
mm,
know, and that's unfair to them. Like
Yeah. We
we
say that all
all,
the time to each other.
mm,
right.
Yeah.
You bleed on people who did not hurt you, who do not
Mm-hmm.
cause you any pain or do anything to you in any capacity, but they're paying the price of your yesterday. How fair
Yes.
is that? That's not
mm,
Yes.
fair to them for them paying the price of your yesterday when they trying to be your today and your tomorrow.
Say that.
That's
Yes.
not cool. But
Yeah.
one of the things that I've learned, and as I've gotten older, you have your scars from your childhood.
mhm,
Yes.
This God is so amazing. And I'm gonna say this because I had so many scars from running into the tree, flipping off my bike, because I was such a tomboy. But
such a
y'all,
boy.
right. And so I'm looking over my body and I'm looking for the scars. Y'all,
Mm.
I can't find these scars no more,
Wow.
Mm,
but
Woo,
I
glory to God.
know where they
Mm.
are. I know
Mm.
where they were, but God has healed me in
Woo.
such a way that it's like, okay, I know
Okay.
what I've been through. I
Mm.
know what you've brought me through, but there are no residual effects of that.
You better say
You
that.
know,
Yes.
there is none of that. But if I never
Glory.
told you, and since I don't have
Wow.
the visible scars, you never
Yes.
know. But I know
Mm.
what he's healed me from.
Yes.
Because I'm gonna
Yes.
tell you, the barrel of the curling iron.
Mm-hmm.
I dropped it on my chest, like right
Mm.
here. And it was an imprint of
Mm.
the barrel. That's how deep that burn was. But there is
Mm.
absolutely no scar there.
Wow.
Not one. I've had 4 biopsies on my breast for checking for breast cancer since I was 23 years old. There is
Mm.
not one scar from not one biopsy
Wow.
that I've had done. So, God, if you allow Him to heal your wounds, you won't even see the scars of where you were broken.
Mm.
But you got to let God do the mending.
Mm.
But we don't want to give Him the time to do that. But you got to give it to Him. If you want to heal from something and you want to walk away from something, then give it to God and leave it there. Don't be going over there asking Him, well, God, when you going to heal me from
It's
this?
that time that we struggle with
Yeah, and God say, mind your business.
because I'm struggling with the time.
Yeah, God say mind your business. This he don't operate on our time. He operates on his own. And he is God all by himself. He don't need you coming, you checking every 5 minutes. You just prayed this prayer. Look, go on, sit down. You got rice on the stove cooking, and
I need a map though, Travita. I need a map. I need an outline.
God ain't finna give you that. God will show you where he trying to take you, but he ain't gonna give you the straight and narrow path that you want to go on.
Will not.
God gonna take you through some stuff to see if you really want it, how bad you say you want it. And that's the thing we don't want to go through. We don't want to see everything. We just want to get to the finish line. God said, okay, you want to get to the finish line, you're gonna have to go down in this valley to get there. Then you're gonna have to go up this mountain to get there. Are you
Yes.
willing to do that? Or you want to reroute? And you try to reroute. That's that free will that we be doing. And we get off course. And then now we mad at God. No, no, God, like I didn't do that. I
come
let
on,
you be
somebody.
grown and do that by yourself. And now you over here looking like, God, why I end up over you took that turn. I told you to
Father.
go right. You decided to go left. Now you looking at me. I told you mind your business. That's what I said. But now you going over there wanting to be grown, thinking you knowing something. You won't even let the rice on the stove get done yet. But you
That's
bothering
powerful.
me. You
Yeah.
I
know?
got I got a question for you though, Travita. Just based off of the conversation that you had last night.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was all in the comments just questions. But what does moving on and as you
Mm.
said, not bleeding on the other person for something
Mm-hmm.
that somebody from your past did, what does that look like for you? Because I know, you are in a good space right now, and
Yeah.
how do you
We
keep?
want to get there.
Yeah, we trying to get there, but we would like to know how do you keep from punishing him for something that
Mm,
your
good
ex
question.
did?
Yep.
Having those hard conversations and letting him
Mm,
know what triggers me,
Hmm.
and
mm,
what I'm
mm-hmm.
still working on. Like we just
Okay.
had a conversation not too long ago cuz I'm going to be moving soon. And so I'm terrified. I am absolutely terrified.
You got this.
And it's not, I'm terrified in the sense of I'm not willing to do it because
Mm,
I'll do anything afraid. I'm just going to take the chance, take the leap.
yeah.
However, it's being away from my children. My children
Mm,
are my life, and
mm-hmm.
that's what I know. And
Hmm.
also, I've been in fight and flight mode, survival mode my entire life,
Mm-hmm.
and I've depended upon self more so than anything. And
Mm-hmm.
so, having somebody who says, "I got it, and I got you. There's nothing for you to worry about."
Mm.
It's different,
Oof.
and I'm not sure how to take it.
Mm.
And so we have these conversations, and he allows me the space to feel what I feel and
Mm.
express it. And
Mm.
it's not, well, why you feel like that? That don't make no sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where, like, he opens doors and
Mm.
gets an attitude if I try to open my door, but I'm so used to being me
Mm-hmm.
and being
Yeah.
independent, so that when
Yeah.
it's time to get out the car, I just get out the car, and then I have
Girl,
to
that's a
remember.
blessing.
Look, and I have to remember, uh-oh, I opened
He
the
did it
door.
to you.
Let
He
me
did
get back
it
in
to
the
you.
car, or let me try to close it back before you get
For the
around.
river.
You know,
He did that to you after we left that Drew Hill concert.
yes.
When you
Oh.
got out of my car and you were getting ready to get in his, he was telling me to let you know when I got to my destination.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
then quick enough to look at you and say, what you doing?
Exactly.
Hand on the door.
Exactly.
That's so
Exactly.
sweet.
He don't play that. And it's like, okay, sir, wait a minute. And I tell him all the time, he's like, okay, I'll let you slide this time. But don't do that no more. And I'm
Don't
like,
do that
well,
no
sir,
more.
look here, like carrying bags and things of that nature. And my boys are the
Mm-hmm.
same way.
Hmm.
If
Mm.
I'm trying to carry bags, like I was getting out the car the other night, and Nathan came to the car to meet me to get out the car. And so I had some bags in the back seat. And so I'm, getting out the car to try to get the bags. And he's looking at me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm getting the bags. He was like, when have you ever touched a bag when I'm in the car with you? And I'm like, well, I have before. He was like, you don't do that. You can grab
Uh-oh.
your computer bag because I don't
Uh-uh.
want to be responsible for. I said, okay, you know what? He said, well, I don't know why you thinking you grown and stuff. You
Ooh.
you keep thinking you grown and you not. And I keep, you know what? I'm just going in the house. Yeah, he talking about, yeah, you go on in the house and you go get ready for
Uh-uh.
bed because you already trying to do too much and I
You're
ain't
doing
for this
too much.
tonight with you. Yeah, so it's like my boys are the
Oh.
same way with me, and I'm grateful for that because it just
Yeah.
goes to show that they have been raised right and
Mm-hmm.
that
That's what I
they
was just
know
about to say.
how to treat a woman and be
Mm-hmm.
respectful and be mindful of
Yes.
the things that they say and they do. And also my kids are bossy, but they're mine, and I know they get it honestly, so I can't really you know, be too, picky about it because I raised them that way. But it's like, okay, I'm your mama though. And they be like, okay, and my mama's still hard headed too. So I'm like, yeah, I ain't really trying to be hard headed, but if that's how you want to call it, I guess. But moving on, where I'm at right now is a really good space. But this is, oh Lord. Okay.
Come on, share with the class.
Yes, I'm gonna tell you this. During my time of singleness, because this is our second time being together, him and I. When we were together the first time, I was still healing, and I still had a lot of unhealed trauma and triggers that I
Wow.
never really talked about.
Mhm.
And so it we had to go our separate ways, and we were apart for 7 years.
Mhm.
However, in those 7 years, I did a lot of growing, working on myself, other relationships and things of that nature. But I prayed a prayer in the midst of being single throughout those 7 years, and before I would enter in different relationships or whatever. I prayed a prayer, and that prayer was, God, if I've already met my husband and I ran him away, please send him back when
Mm-mm.
it's
Woo!
time.
Jesus. Hallelujah. Mm. Yes.
And
Yes. My
that
Lord.
was my prayer. And
Mm. Mm.
so that's where we are now.
Mm. I felt that.
So
Oh, I felt that. Mm.
it was one of those things where
Wow.
when you remember your prayers and your prayers are answered, you know,
Mm.
it's like, okay, but that was my prayer. And it was like, God, in my brokenness, I couldn't see anything that He was bringing to me because I was
Mm.
unhealed in those spaces. And I didn't know what unconditional love looked like. I
Mm.
didn't know what it felt like.
Mm.
And for for somebody to have my back and to be supportive, to be encouraging, to
Mm.
support anything that I got going on in the
Mm.
capacity of we're not competing with each other. We
Mhm.
are building each other. Um Yin and yang, salt and pepper, it's basically like that. And it's literally like that because, you know, and so it's being in a space and being appreciated for who I am, and being welcomed in a space not only by him but his family as well.
Mhm.
And his family is proud of me, and when I'm in their presence, it's just like, child, I've been part of the family before I even met the
Oh,
family. And
that's a blessing.
so to hear how he speaks of me, I was with him almost 3 weeks ago, and I was at his job, and one of his coworkers came over and was talking to me. He was like, "So you write books and you help people write books?" And I'm like, "So what?" Um, yeah, I do. And I'm
Do I
like,
know
"So
you?
yeah." Right. And like him and his coworker, they were over there talking, but I wasn't paying them no attention because I was watching a movie on the laptop. So I'm in my own little space, minding my own business, and so he comes over and starts talking to me about that. He was like, "Yeah, that's really cool." And I was like, "Yeah, it is," and he was like, "So how long you been doing it?" I said, "Well, I really haven't been doing it very long. I've been a writer most of my life, but I've only been doing this part for about, 4.5 years." I said, "But, and I'm still kind of weirded out in this space." And then I'm like, and so when he comes over, I'm like, what are you doing?" He was like, "What you talking about?" I was like, "You just over there telling all my business." He was like, "Okay." And I was like, and
Like
so
your point is.
yeah, he like, "Okay." And he was like, "Yeah." I said, "He just seemed so fascinated by that." He was like, "Because number one, you don't broadcast everything that you do. You're so quiet and you're so reserved and everything. And when you start to talk about what you do, you light up and it's a passion for you." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm still kind of shy, sir. I'm still getting used to this, and you just telling everybody. I'm
Uh-huh.
not used to that. And so
Mhm.
when I see his mom or I see his grandma and they start talking about the things that I'm doing, and I'm like, "Okay, you guys got to slow it down. I'm not used to this." And they're just like, "Well, child, you'll be all right. It's okay." But having that kind of reception and having
Mhm.
somebody that speaks so highly of me coming from my last relationship where that was not the case. It was like, you helped me to start this, but at the same time, you didn't believe that I could continue. And
Mm,
it was like, you put me in a position to win, but you didn't want to see me win.
Mm.
mhm,
And
mhm,
that's what it was, because it was always, well, I just didn't think you were going to continue. Well, what do you mean you didn't think I was going to continue? Well, most of the time when I give people advice, they don't actually follow through with it. Okay, well, I have told you before, I'm not like most people. You
Right.
can't
mhm,
put me in a box that I don't fit in. And you keep
mhm,
trying to fit me in the box of your yesterday. And I don't
mhm,
fit in your yesterday. I fit in the
mhm,
box that's made for me. And you
mhm.
can't seem to grasp that. Any challenge that I've ever been faced with, I put God in the front of it and I
Say
just
that.
follow what he tells me to do.
Yes,
So that
yes.
doesn't mean that I'm going to fail just because it looks hard. Yeah, I'm going to take a break from it. I'm going to walk away and refocus
Mhm.
on what it is that I need to do. And I might go have a little cry about it, have a little whole conversation
Yes.
meltdown with God about it. Because I'll be like, God, I don't think this right. I don't think I'm supposed to be going this way, but you keep putting me on this path, and yeah, I'm
Woo.
debating with you on it. But it's like a chameleon, whatever a chameleon is put in, they adjust to it and they camouflage
Mhm.
themselves to fit in so
Yes.
that it keeps them safe and protected. And that's what God does for me and
Mm.
in these situations. And so it was like, to have somebody that speaks of me in a way that
Mm.
uplifts me, encourages me, coming from somebody who was just like, okay, well, yeah, that's good, but I just don't see you continuing, or, couldn't support me in the same manner. And it's like,
Mhm.
I'm speaking of you highly, but you talking about me like I ain't nothing, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yep.
so I had to understand that all support ain't good support. And
Mm.
everybody
Say
don't
that.
want to see you win, even if they
Say
put you
that.
in a position to win.
Mhm.
And so learning that, it's like, okay, I'm still going to pray that you continue to win, even if you don't want to see the same for me. And
Yes.
that's okay. And so learning that during that relationship, it's like you never had any intention on seeing me grow because you saw me as your competition and not
Mm.
as your partner. And
Mhm.
I don't have time to be in competition with somebody I'm still trying to grow with. You
Mhm.
We had a conversation after my trip and
You are
you teaching that.
mhm,
um I was coming back from the event in Atlanta in June, and I had hoped that he would have went with me, but he didn't. And then what he said to me was, I didn't think you were gonna go. And I was like, what do you mean you didn't think I was gonna go? Because when he called me, I was already at the venue. I was already
Mm.
there. And so when I got back and we were having a conversation, he was like, you did a boss move right there. I said, what do you mean? He was like, I didn't go and I didn't think you were going to go without me. I said, well, I don't know what would possess you to do that. I said, yeah, I was scared to take that drive to Atlanta by myself. I said, but I did it because I had a purpose. I said, but it is what it is. And I said, you've given me a blueprint in so many ways. I said, and it's a problem when the student is no longer the student. The student has now become the teacher of what's been
Hello.
taught. I
mm,
said, so that is where we're starting to see. I said, the information you gave me, I've utilized it. I said, but no information that I've given to you have you ever utilized until someone else besides me said it. I said, I've
Mm.
given you advice and you told me no to the things that I said. But when someone else of the male persuasion said it, it made more sense. I
Mm.
said, you you talk about having the vision and seeing the vision. Your vision for me was not the same vision that I had for myself, but I couldn't see it, but I believed in the vision that you had for me. So I took the advice and utilized it because that's what you gave me. So
mm,
now that I've taken it and I've utilized it to my ability to win with it, now it's a problem. So now I'm
Mhm.
competition for you. And I'm no
Mhm.
longer looked at as, equal. That,
Mhm.
and it's like you should be proud that your student actually took what you gave them to utilize it and build upon it, but not to just take it and say, okay, she trying to outdo me. Baby, no, I'm not. I've used what you gave me. You gave me the ingredients to prepare a wonderful meal. You gave it to me. So now that I've created this meal, you mad that I took what looked like scraps to you and made something wonderful out of it. You can't be mad at what you gave me because you gave me the foundation. Now it's only up to we build upon it. But if you don't want somebody that's going to help you build upon it, don't give them the bricks to help build the foundation. You
Right.
know?
That part.
Like I don't understand it, and it was time, for me to let go because he was speaking of me in a manner that I never spoke of him. And even to this day, we not even on speaking terms, but I don't want anything that is not for him to miss him. If it's
Mhm.
for him, continue to build, continue to grow, continue to be who you are, but don't be mad at the fact that I didn't stop because we're not connected anymore. Because
Mhm.
what you gave me was the blueprint, and I've used it, and I've used it in a way that benefits me. And whatever I have, I want to share it with somebody else so that they can build themselves. I don't care about you surpassing me. That's what you're supposed to do. As a
Mhm.
you supposed to look for your students to surpass you, to be better than you. That is what the hope of that is. But if you are always looking at somebody else as being in competition with you, you stunt your own self by doing
Mhm.
it. And you
Mhm.
can't have everything all to yourself. You're all closed up. I don't want to share that with you because I'm afraid that you're gonna be bigger than me. Whatever God got for you, baby, it ain't never gonna miss you. So
That
him
part.
holding on to something, what is that doing? It ain't doing
Yeah.
absolutely nothing. Give
Mhm.
people what they need from you because God will give you more if you really want to grow and be better. These relationships, they get hard because people want to be in competition. They want to fight with each other. They want to do this and they want to do that. But growth in moving on and going forward in life means that you have to let some things go. And you got to
Mhm.
do that hard work with yourself and set those boundaries, for for what it is that you want to see with somebody. No matter if it's a friend, a platonic relationship, romantic
Mhm.
relationship, no matter what it is, make
Mhm.
sure that you are surrounded by people who want to see the best in you and not the worst in
Yes.
you. Because
Yes.
if they are only looking for the worst in you, then baby, get them people away from you. They not in
Amen.
to build you. They in there to tear you down. If ain't nobody
Amen.
clapping, clap for yourself. You know,
Mm.
clap for yourself. Keep showing up for yourself. Keep doing what you need to do. But in this time and in this space, as I've told you many times before, Tanya, be by yourself until you can love yourself and be with yourself and enjoy your own company. Because kind of, let me tell you something. When we ain't had no power, we was without power for 11 days. My kids, when they found out that daddy had power, they left me real quick. They were like, peace, we out. I was here by myself, and you know what? No power and nothing. I was at peace because I enjoyed me. I didn't care that it wasn't no power in this house. I didn't care because God brought me through. He was the light that I needed. And I spent more time with him. So I got to know me and him, and I probably got on his nerves a couple of times. And, I called a lie.
I think I'm on that season.
Yeah, I'm like, God, I know you don't got tired of me. Don't put me on
Yes.
hold right now. We
Yes.
got a conversation to have. You
I got
know,
questions.
like I got questions and you the only one that's gonna give me
Yes.
the answer. I know you want me to be talking to myself, but you hear
Yes.
me anyway.
Exactly.
You hear me. So I don't know why you trying to act like you don't know who I am. We gonna talk about this.
I
But
promise
Yeah.
y'all be giving the Lord a run for his money.
I swear I do.
listen, I know he'd be like, that now. Tell her
Me
I'll
too.
call her back tomorrow.
Me
And then,
too.
no, God, I'm talking to you today because we got stuff to talk about.
Sometimes I feel like
Now,
he does
you
this.
know. No, he looked down on the caller ID and be like, that's again. Not today. I ain't
See,
got
that's what he do with you. To me, he just turned his head like, she gonna really go here with this.
child. He be like, Till I call her tomorrow. Till I call her tomorrow. I'm not doing this today. But just go and put him on the line because God, I got to
I
talk
need
to
to
you.
go.
I don't care nothing about you. Got other things to do. You trying to answer other prayers. Mine is important right now because I don't know what you got going on. But we need to talk right now. So you can go and do whatever else
My
after we
kind of
finish
girl.
having this
That's what I'm
conversation.
talking about.
But during that time, like my sister got mad at me. She was like, "Why you just didn't stay at your best friend's house? You ain't got no power over there." I said, "Cause baby, I'm at peace at home. I'm fine." I said, she was like, you need to, what's her number? I said, I'm not giving it to you because you're not going to call her and tell her that I need to come back over there because I'm not going. I'm on my way home. I went over there, took me a shower, got me nice and clean and warm and because I've been taking cold showers and they're not the friendliest thing to do.
I
But
It's
promise
really
you
not.
ain't.
but honey, I took that shower, came on home, got my food and everything. Child, I was just
You
in
was good.
here by myself. I enjoyed my own company. And so when you learn to be by yourself, you're not looking for someone else to complete you because you're already whole. And see, I'm
Mm,
whole now, and anybody else that comes in, I'm not broken. God has done my mending and he continues to do the mending for me. And as long as I allow God, that's what I mean when I say those scars that I once had, I no longer have anymore. Because those wounds and those scars are gone, So I'm not carrying around extra baggage that I don't need no more, And when you learn to let those things go, the weight is a whole lot lighter and you can move a lot freer because you're not bound by what happened to you. Those things happened to you, but they didn't stop you from doing anything. And when you
mm,
understand that it was all connected to your puzzle is still
mm.
being put together. Everything that you're going through is necessary. And you got to be okay with going through the hard times because when you go through the hard times, you get to know exactly who God has created you to be. If you're going to
Mm.
be intentional, you're going to be intentional in walking in that purpose in which God created you to walk. Every path ain't going to be perfect. It's going to be some tree lines. It's going to be some things that fall down. It's going to be some detours. It's going to be some things that are going to be in there and it's going to be hard. And you're going to be asking God, like, why are you taking me through this? What did I
Mhm.
do? What harm did I cause to somebody? And it may
You
not have
must be in my
done
head
anything.
because those are definitely the questions I'd be asking.
It's
I'd be
only
like, why is this happening to me? What is really going on?
But see, talk about something I haven't experienced, and I don't talk about things I haven't asked God myself. And so I can only speak on what I've experienced. And being shameful, like I was saying last night, most of us don't want to talk about what doesn't look good and what doesn't sound good. But you
Mhm,
can't punish me by talking about my past because we all got one. You can't embarrass
mhm,
me by telling something for somebody to somebody else. Well, girl, she got kicked out of her house and she lost her job and all that. Yeah, baby, I did. But God brought
mhm.
me through it. So
Hello.
what you gonna tell them?
Mhm.
That I made
Yeah.
it over. I made
Say
it
that.
over. That's what you
Say
can tell.
that.
You know, you wanted to see me down and out and broken because it looked good. It was gossip.
Mhm,
But baby, you don't
mhm.
understand the testimony that was connected to it. So it's okay.
Exactly.
But go ahead and tell your story. Go ahead and tell your
See.
tea. It could be
Mm.
piping hot, but eventually it gets lukewarm and it gets watered down,
Say
But
that.
that's okay. It's all right. But if it's piping hot tea for you to tell somebody else, baby, don't forget to tell the part about how God brought me through.
Hello.
If we're
Please.
gonna tell it, tell how he brought
Please
me
tell it
through.
all. Tell it
Like
all.
don't miss out the part.
I
Yeah.
Mhm.
will say,
Don't miss out the part.
I will
Yeah.
say that I believe God places people in your life. Some for a season,
Mhm.
some for a lesson.
Yeah,
And
and
Mhm.
sometimes we mix some people up with lifetime expectations
I
when they was only
swear.
meant for a season.
right.
Whew.
And
Yeah.
I oftentimes, I oftentimes laugh when I hear the phrase, "I'm here for a good time, not a long time."
Mm-hmm.
There's so much truth in that. Like,
Yeah.
no matter if it's a friendship, a relationship, or what have you, as long as you in that moment and
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
giving what you need to give, you're
Right.
doing your part.
Yeah.
So, um, when I left Spartanburg
Mm-hmm.
and decided to get in that little blue car and hit the highway,
Mm-hmm.
I heard you.
Oh Lord.
I heard you say, "It don't matter if you scared, just do it."
Exactly.
And so all I kept hearing was, no matter what it looked like, no matter how
Mhm.
scared you are,
Mhm.
you can do it. The only person that can stop you is you. And
Yep.
Get out your own way.
them big
Yep.
old 18 wheelers. But that's another story.
But I tell you all the time, you got to get out of your own way if you want to see the best version of yourself. You kept yourself confined to a box for a long time.
Mhm.
And
That mug never had the bow taken off of it either.
no, and I know,
Mm.
and I kept telling you it's time for you to get out of the box. There's so much more for you.
Yep.
And your answer would always be, well, I don't know how to do that. You gotta lift your leg up or put the foot down on the other side and get out the box. But you can't stay in a space that you outgrown.
Right.
Like if you want more and you know that that little box you've outgrown,
Mhm.
that's like trying to fit in a pair of jeans that you had when you were 12 years old, baby. It don't fit no more. Let
Right.
it
Mhm.
go. You
Right.
gotta grow and get into the size that you are now. And you kept trying to stay in that space. And I'm like, Lord,
Yeah.
you gonna have to talk to her because I don't try. She ain't listening to me.
And you know what? Going through everything that I went through, I finally did actually hear from the Lord, and he's
Mhm,
been, he been talking a whole lot since that from that moment to this moment. Like
mhm,
everything that you and I have endured, whether it be the Mary Kay,
mhm,
school with you, or whatever. I've always felt like that was your thing, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna support you because you my girl, but that's your thing."
Good thing.
I'm
Yep.
mhm,
I'm waiting on God to show me what my thing is, but
Mhm.
mhm.
prayer without works is dead, so I had to actually start doing something
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
I felt like I was good at, to be able to say, "Okay, well, I'm taking a step in the right direction." I mean, God had told me to leave my marriage. Well, he actually told me at the altar. He was like, little dummy, what is you doing?" I could hear him loud and clear. And after that is when I stopped hearing from him
No,
because
you
Mm.
stop
I felt
hearing
like,
from me. You stop listening.
Listening.
yeah, and I felt
That's
like
what it was.
I wasn't being heard because I wasn't getting the answers that I
Well,
want,
you want it. Uh-huh.
pleasing
Mhm.
to me. And so what I realized is, when I took the me out of the situation and
Mhm.
Mhm.
doing what thus said the Lord, because I was
Mhm.
not, I was doing the total T opposite.
Uh,
Um, and I just, and it came from a place of the abandonment issues.
mhm.
Being adopted. Uh, well, to go back from being in a situation where I had to be placed for adoption, then
Mhm.
being adopted and not necessarily getting the treatments and things that I needed to
Mhm.
Mhm.
sustain my life. Like me and Didi just discovered something last night that I have been trying to figure out for the longest. You know that little
Mhm.
scar on my stomach, like right.
Yeah.
I had a colonoscopy bag.
She either had
Did
a colonoscopy bag or she had a feeding tube. It was one of the two. That's what
yeah,
that looked like. That scar.
Oh, okay.
didn't
Well,
Mhm.
you know, like I said, those are those scars that we don't know about.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And this is one thing that I'm gonna say because we getting close to our time. But
Yeah,
We
this
gonna have you back.
absolutely.
God answers our prayers most of the time, but we often reject the answers to the prayers because they don't look like what
What we
we envision them to look like.
right.
And we got to stop rejecting the answers because they don't look like what we expect them to look like.
Hmm.
We want everything to be packaged pretty. And God answered this prayer. Like you'll pray and ask God for patience, and He send you a situation where you gotta have it. You
Mm,
ask God for grace and you ask Him for wisdom, you ask Him for strength, and He puts you in situations that you gotta exceed those things that you're asking for. And it's like, God, that ain't what I prayed.
That
And
ain't what I asked for.
that is exactly what you asked for. How do you develop a skill if you don't put it into practice? You got to put it into
Mm,
use. And
mm,
that's the thing that you be at. God, I need strength. Okay, well, how you gain the strength? You got to be tested to gain the strength. If you want knowledge of something, what you got to do? Research it to gain the
mhm,
knowledge. You got to
mhm.
do these things. And
Yeah.
so it's hard work and understanding that God is blessing you in the midst of whatever the mess looks like. But
right.
are
Yeah.
you
Right.
willing to see it for what
Yeah.
it is? Because you're going to
Right.
go through something. It's going to be hard. It's going to be like, God, look here. I don't think I'm built for this. My show, I'm 4'8".
Listen.
Look here. I'm already low to the ground and you want me to climb to the highest mountain. I'm afraid of heights, sir, but you keep putting me in situations where I gotta elevate and climb on these things to get there. Who you think I am? And it's always you, my child. And I didn't put you in a position that I won't get you to.
Mm,
So just
mm,
keep walking. Keep
Yeah.
doing
mm,
what I tell you to do, and it's gonna
mhm.
be all right. And I be so uncomfortable, and he be like, "That's fine. You all right. You ain't hurt nothing." You know,
No, I'm not. I'm not all right.
like like you telling me this, but it's like, God, look here.
I ain't all
You
right.
know, you say I'm all right, but
Yeah.
God blesses us in everything that we're going through, and we have to acknowledge Him in the space
Yeah.
of Him being God all by Himself. He don't need
Yeah.
nothing from us but to be obedient to Him. And when we're obedient to Him, it's hard. But when we're
Oh, yes,
obedient
Lord.
completely, He gets us where He's been trying to take us all along. Our destiny is our destiny. It ain't gonna miss us no time unless we decide that we want to be our own GPS and go our own way. And God be like, rerouting back to where you're supposed to be because you don't got off course. But I let you
Uh-huh.
have your free will. Now I don't smack you on the back of the head, and now you over here looking like what I do that for. You know why I
Right.
did.
Right. And what I do know about the Lord, as much as He loves you, He
Mhm.
will allow some things to take place to get your attention. Because
Yes.
Exactly.
I tell
Loud
you,
and clear.
when I tell you,
Yes.
I'm standing at that altar and He done called me all kinds of big dummies, and I'm like, whatever. And
And
when I tell
sometimes
you
when we
that
know stuff.
that
Mhm.
took me through some valleys.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
We be thinking we know some stuff.
I
We
heard
don't
the Lord
be knowing
say,
nothing.
"You ready to go? You ready to go yet? Have you figured it
Mhm.
out? This is
Mhm.
not ordained by me."
Yeah. I
Well,
didn't
be
do this
glad you didn't get
one.
no pricking in your sinuses. That was my warning. Get
Girl,
Mm.
out. And I was like, get out. Click, 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 click. When I tell you when I got out, a month later, I was no longer clicking. That was the
God
craziest
knows when
time
it's
in my
time to
life.
leave.
see,
God will tell you.
my thing is, I'm one of the people that once I'm in something, I like to see it to the end, and
Listen,
I don't know where that comes from,
I
and
know when to call it quits, honey.
I have
Uh-uh.
learned, and I'm so good at it now that it's just, mm-mm.
Honey, I'll walk away mid conversation if something ain't bye. Honey,
I've
I,
seen you do it.
yeah, exactly. Cause who? I'm not finna do that with you, child. No, and then
Mm.
walk away in a heartbeat. uh, Girl, nah,
But I was so busy trying to be the caregiver that I was not taking care of myself. And the
Oh
father
yeah.
finally said, "You need to take care of you." And I was like, "But I'm a wife. What do you mean take care of? I'm taking care of who I'm supposed to be taking care of. It's time to take care of
Yeah.
you." That's when I
Yeah.
found out my shunt was broke. Like 6 months later. Yeah, about 6 months
Yeah.
later.
We be hard headed trying to save the world, and God say save
Mhm.
yourself, cause
Yeah,
you.
because
Yeah,
God said you are not Superwoman.
basically,
He
basically,
told
that's
me
exactly what
to
he's saying.
retire my cape, turn it in. Don't need it.
But only advice I got to you guys is going through this new journey that you're on, for as life without being a wife,
Mhm.
is to do the work of finding what makes you happy. You're not in a season of loneliness, you're in a season of isolation. And it's time for you to focus on what God has for you in this season. And being by yourself is not the end of the world. And don't invite people in your space that don't belong there just because you're lonely in this season.
Mm,
Knowing what isolation looks like and loneliness looks like and feels like are two different things. And when you understand the difference between the two, you won't accept anything other than that. So you got to be willing to actually sit and be still to hear God say, okay, now it's time. Because you want to rush and be like, well, they make me feel good. They saying all the right things. Girl, don't nobody care. Don't nobody care if they
but
ain't
I'm lonely,
actually.
Father.
Yeah, but he gotta be the right one for me. God said, I ain't sending that man over there. You went and picked that man because he said all the right things. He was saying, "Oh, baby, you look good today. Why that dress like that? Yeah, girl. You be all into that, you know." And God ain't saying nothing about none of that stuff. God, no, God didn't say that. You just got happy because you like, oh, somebody finally looking at me. Maybe I'm off the clearance rack, baby. Go on, get back on that clearance rack. It ain't your time to go nowhere. Go on, get back on there. You on layaway right now. Stop. Yeah, yeah. You're doing too much. But sit in this season and understand that isolation and loneliness are two different things. And if God ain't called you to be with somebody that understands that you are still in your healing process, because you're going to end up bleeding on somebody that did not cut you. And you're not going to be willing to actually have those hard conversations because you're steady looking for somebody to accept you in your brokenness. And yes, there are people who will accept you in your brokenness, but if you can't accept you in your brokenness, how can they?
Mm, yeah.
Because you got to accept you in your brokenness. Because you can't expect them to heal you if you're not even willing to heal yourself.
Mm.
But I love y'all. I got to go get my child from work because he
Well,
gonna be calling me. But y'all
um,
can call me on the phone and we can continue the conversation. So,
can you close us out then, ma'am?
Please.
oh, I surely can. Listen, y'all. Let me go ahead and tell you this. Don't be over there minding God's business, okay? Because God don't need nothing from you but you to be obedient to what he's called you to do. If he ain't called you to it, it ain't your business. If he's
Mm.
calling you to do it, know that it's your assignment. But also know when assignments begin and assignments end. I love y'all, and until next time, you will never be denied of what God has for you. Love you. Good night.
You.
Now y'all can call.
Go get your baby. Thank you.